Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. This is episode 164. The first show of the fall, officially, as it's the third weekend of September. Hope you've been enjoying the weekend so far, by the way. And we do have a very busy show planned for you this hour, including 4 different interviews. We're going to kick things off in a moment with TransferWise. For those who send money elsewhere in the world to family and friends, this app lets you keep more of it in your pocket instead of paying brutal service fees. After that, we're going to learn about a new and free mobile game for smartphones and tablets called President's Run. And you can race as or against Trump, Biden, and others. Also, on this show, we're going to sit down with Creative, an awesome company that makes accessories for computers like webcams and headsets and a lot more. And finally, Avidbots will join us towards the end of the program as they use these huge robots to clean big spaces in the era of COVID, like schools and sports stadiums, airports and malls and so on. So we have a packed Tech It Out show for you. This program is powered by Asus, which I'll tell you more about shortly, but let's kick off the show with our first interview. Needless to say, the world has changed quite a bit over the past 6 months, and with many millions of people finding themselves in a situation of wanting to send or receive money to loved ones. But how are you sending and receiving money around the world that helps you keep more of it in your pocket? We're now going to learn about TransferWise and how this platform could help. We're joined on the line by Nick Lembo. He's the head of growth for the Americas at TransferWise. Nick joins us from New York. Thanks for your time, Nick.
Thanks, Mark. Nice to be here.
Great. Now, before we talk about some of your recent findings, please tell us a bit about TransferWise.
Sure. So TransferWise was founded in 2011 by 2 friends, actually, Tavet and Christo. Tavet and Christo both had a problem, and they found out a solution between the 2 of them. So Tavet was based in London, but was working for Skype, where he was the first employee and was earning euros. And Christo was based in London, being paid in pounds, but had a mortgage back in his native Estonia. They were both sending money back the other way every month for their respective needs, and realized that they were losing lots of money in the process. And so they found a pretty clever hack to exchange money between themselves. They would look up the mid-market or the real exchange rate on Google or whatever site they were using, and they would send a domestic transfer of whatever currency the other person needed to their account directly. And by doing that, they would save themselves thousands of pounds at the time, since they were in the UK, and they realized that there were probably lots of people they could help. And so fast forward 9 years to today, and TransferWise is moving about $5 billion US dollars every month for customers, helping them save money in the process and transfer money cheaper, faster, and more conveniently than they would otherwise be able to.
Okay, Nick. So with that in mind, how does TransferWise compare to other digital platforms? I'm referring to like PayPal or Venmo or even like Western Union.
Sure. So some of those digital platforms only work in one currency, right? So things like Venmo, you're sending money from one currency to another, but doesn't work necessarily for every time you need to send money into a different currency. Others like PayPal or Western Union, you can send money to different currencies, but they're really expensive. And one of the ways that they get so expensive is that they're hiding markups in their exchange rates. So often anywhere between 4, 5, 6, sometimes even 7%. Companies like PayPal will hide in a markup on their exchange rate. And banks do this too, right? So traditional bank networks make most of their money on international transfers by including a markup in the exchange rate. So most of the fee you actually end up paying is hidden in an exchange rate markup, which makes it really difficult for consumers and small and medium business owners to compare costs and actually understand how much money is going to come out the other end. So one of our biggest differentiators, and one of the things that we really take to heart at TransferWise for our customers, is making sure that we're transparent in our pricing. So we use what we call the mid-market rate. which is the exchange rate you would see on Google if you typed in 1 USD is worth how much Canadian. And we pass that along to the consumer with a small upfront fee that we tell you transparently how much it is going to cost. So the biggest differentiation for us against other digital platforms like a PayPal or even a Western Union is the transparency of the cost to the end consumer.
Okay. So it's more transparent, you're saying, compared to some of these other services, but it's also lower. TransferWise will take less off of a transaction on average, or it's just that you're more upfront about what you're taking out?
It's both. So that's absolutely correct. So if a provider normally marks up the exchange rate somewhere between 5%, 6%, 7%, they're also charging an upfront fee, which is the fee that they tell you on their website. That all adds up, right? And so TransferWise charges you on average about 0.6% of the fee plus the real exchange rate. So there's quite a significant amount of difference in cost between banks, Western Union, and even some of the more kind of older digital platforms like a PayPal.
Thank you for the clarification. Now, I was at my bank today looking to sell U.S. funds into Canadian funds or buy American funds with Canadian funds, however you want to look at it. And I was offered a quote of 30% or something like that. But that's transferring from one account to another. Is TransferWise more about sending money from one person to another rather than exchanging currency within your own bank?
Yeah, you could definitely use TransferWise for that purpose. So lots of people move money between their own accounts in multiple countries whenever they might see a need or at an advantage in the exchange rate. But you can also, of course, send it to friends and family members and even use TransferWise for your business or large enterprises as well.
I know with Venmo, I think everybody has to be on the same app. Is that the same case with TransferWise? If I wanted to send, let's say, my mom $1,000, she's living in, Portugal. I want to send her $1,000 from New York to Lisbon. Can I do that? Or we both need the same app?
So the great thing about TransferWise is that it's platform agnostic in some way. If you both have the app, you can send it directly to her TransferWise balance like you could with PayPal or something or Venmo. But if she doesn't have a TransferWise account, all you need is her normal bank account details of her bank and wherever country where the recipient is living, and you can send that money to any bank account in the world where we offer our service.
Okay, got it. We're chatting with Nick Lembo. He is responsible for overseeing growth of the TransferWise app in the Americas. We are talking about this app and how you can send money between people, between countries for less money. So you get to keep more of it in your pocket. And given the year that we've had, wouldn't you welcome that? So let's talk about some North American findings and use cases, how the app can help people save money, especially during this pandemic.
Well, it's a great point, Mark, and it's really important given the current state of the economy. We know that consumers are rightfully paying more attention than ever to how they're spending their money and where they can conserve a little bit and make sure that they're saving as much as they can. In addition to the current state of the economy, we also know that the pandemic is driving lots of digital behaviors faster than we might have seen in earlier times. So retail is one example, but of course money transfer and moving money around the world is not exempt from that kind of faster transition due to the pandemic towards digital services like TransferWise. So we've definitely seen an uptick in users coming to TransferWise, especially since the start of the pandemic. We saw about a 20% lift in new users. We've now seen that kind of stabilize out over time. People are sending similar amounts, but we really know that most customers who come to use TransferWise fall into one of two groups. They're either people who are living in their home country and they might have a friend or a family member abroad. They might have some large financial commitment in another country, like a second property, or maybe not during the pandemic anymore, but children studying abroad, things like that. Those are about half of our customers usually. And the other half are people who are newly arrived in a country. They're either in a country like the US or Canada on a temporary basis. Maybe they're here for short-term work or visiting friends, family members, or they're, kind of permanent, longer-term expats and immigrants who still have connections home. So about half and half in each camp. And really, we know that most of those people are sending money over TransferWise to a couple of countries. So the UK, the Eurozone, India, Brazil, Australia, and a couple of other countries across kind of Southeast Asia are really some of the places we see most of money on TransferWise flowing, like Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and places like that. And so the biggest thing that we're seeing during the pandemic is is a greater awareness amongst consumers that they should be shopping around and that there's cheaper providers than their bank. I think people are getting a bit more savvy about some of the options out there as they really make sure to shop around for services.
And then just as we wrap up, Nick, is it easy to get the money out of your TransferWise account into a bank? Like walk us through perhaps once you get some money from someone digitally through the app, how do you then access it?
So for most people, the money is going to arrive right in their account. So if I'm sending money in New York to you, Mark, you provide me your bank account details. I initiate the transfer from my account and it shows up directly in your bank account. So most of the time, unless a person is getting it sent to their TransferWise account, it's actually showing up directly in their bank account. And about 30% of the time that happens instantly on TransferWise. So because of the technology that we've built behind the app, it's also not just faster, it's not just cheaper, but it's also substantially faster than a traditional wire transfer or international money transfer.
And I didn't ask you about security, but no doubt you've got bank level encryption and everything you need on the back end to make customers feel secure.
That's right. So everywhere TransferWise operates, we are licensed and regulated. The regulator obviously is different in every country, but that comes with the same type of bank level security that is required for any movement of money or holding of funds.
Okay, great. And then finally, Nick, how do people get going with TransferWise? Is there a website or you just recommend downloading the app and signing up?
So you can visit the website, transferwise.com, or the app is available on iOS and Android.
Okay, TransferWise is one word, capital T and capital W, but even if you didn't capitalize anything, you'll find it easily at your favorite app store. Nick Lembo, thank you so much for joining us and wishing you a great fall. Thank you. Stay healthy.
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, we'll be right back with more Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. Stay with us.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS. For those in search of incredible, ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. And that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, monitors, smartphones, smartwatches, tablets, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. It's been quite the year between a global pandemic, there have been protests and riots, natural disasters, and hey, it's only the 9th month of the year so far. Coming up is another big one, a presidential election. So don't we owe it to ourselves to have a little bit of fun after all we've been through in 2020, especially if it's free? Well, we're now going to learn about a free game to play called President's Run that lets you play as or against Donald Trump. Joining us on the line to chat is Chad Lee. He's the creative director of the game President's Run at Icon is the name of the company. Welcome to the show, Chad.
Hi, great to be here.
I remember President's Run from a few years ago, so I think it's been a refreshed sort of game, and correct me if I'm wrong, but tell us about the 2020 President's Run game that's available for mobile devices.
Sure. Yeah, so it's just out now, and we had so much fun doing it back in 2012 that we thought, let's just do it now. Like you said before, 2020 is just a really interesting year, so we thought, let's have some fun with these characters. Now, when we created President's Run, in the first place, it wasn't to make fun of anybody. It wasn't like a political game at all. It was just, hey, let's have fun with these candidates and not make fun of them. And so if you're a Trump supporter, if you're Biden, if you're whoever else, you can have a lot of fun playing this game. And what sets us apart from everybody else is every mile that you run, every play that you do gets registered on our global poll, which is shown on our website. So every mile that you run for Trump gets added to the polls, and so you can see kind of those polls there. And so we effectively predicted the 2012 outcome in that presidential race. So we're, it's interesting to see what we're going to do now. So.
And you didn't do it in 2016?
No, we didn't do it in 2016.
Okay. All right. So talk to us about what the game is like. And since it's radio, maybe you can explain what it looks like as well.
Sure. It's an endless runner, which means you just go until you die. And you choose your character, and then it runs from the left to the right. And all you do, it's a really simple game. You just tap anywhere on the screen to jump. The longer you hold your button down, the higher he jumps. And so you're running through just avoiding obstacles like protesters protesters, paparazzi, or just gaps in the terrain. And as you run, you're just logging in miles and you're collecting votes along the way. Okay. So it's an easy game for anybody, gamer, non-gamer, to pick up and play.
And it is for mobile devices. So you were saying touch the screen to jump. And so that would work on a phone or a tablet, right?
Yes.
What platforms is it on? Does it support both iOS for iPad and iPhone as well as Android devices?
Yes, it's out for all mobile devices, including iOS and Android.
So I understand there are other characters in the game other than Biden and Trump. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, we've included world leaders as well that you typically see in headlines in this year. So we have Kim Jong-un, we have Vladimir Putin, we have Jacinda Ardern, and each of these characters bring their own feel to the game. They run in their own environments. For example, with Jacinda Ardern, you're running through the beautiful green hills of New Zealand. With Trump, you're running through New York City. So it gives that little difference in gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's also a bit of supernatural fun as well. Isn't there like a zombified version of world leaders there?
There are. We in fact, we have Frankenstein Lincoln and zombie George Washington, and they're just really fun characters to play.
Okay, I don't want to give away too much here. We want people to download and play the game, but I was compelled when I heard that to ask you about it. So just to go back to what you're saying, it's not a political game per se. You're not looking to offend anybody or to rally behind the Republican camp or the Democratic Party. It's just meant to be fun, whomever you decide to play as in the game.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't take a stance. We're not here to do any of that. There's enough of that out there. Let's just play a game, and this game actually gives you a real voice in who you're supporting. It beats any straw poll out there that take random segments, but when you play, you're actually supporting the character of your choice.
Okay, and at the point of us recording this interview right now, who's in the lead, just out of curiosity?
So Trump has a really big lead right now.
Interesting. So, okay, fair enough. Now, I hinted earlier that it was free, and you confirmed that it is free. And if it is, how are you monetizing the game?
Yeah, it is totally free to play. In the game, you're collecting votes, and you unlock certain items using those votes. And if you run out of votes, you can buy more votes using real money. And there are premium items that you can also purchase within the game. So we have something called Double Votes Forever. Pay, I think it's $2.99, and every vote that you collect doubles. There's also things that will extend your mileage as well.
So let's wrap up then. So, Chad, it is called President's Run, and it's available both at the App Store and the Google Play Store. Is there also a website?
The polls are in the game, and also they're on presidentsrun.net. We also have a Facebook page that we always keep updated every day. And so for President's Run, you can go there as well. And to learn more about ICANN and the awesome work that they're doing with holograms, go to icaninc.com. That's IKININC.com.
All right. Chad Lee, creative director of the game President's Run at ICANN. Thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you.
When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to catch up with Creative to learn about their computer accessories like webcams and headphones and speakers and so on. And speaking of accessories, don't forget to back up your important information as you're working or schooling from home. I don't want to sound preachy, but you definitely want to protect your files in case something happens to your computer. It's usually a question of when, not if. So make sure you have a good external hard drive or SSD drive, and also leverage the cloud. If you're looking for a good external drive, consider Western Digital's SSD. It's about $100 for 512 gigs, which is quite a bit of storage, or about $150 for a terabyte SSD, just to back up your important files. Good stuff. All right, we'll be back shortly with more Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. This is episode 164. The show started back in July of 2017 with 40 stations across the country that took the 1 hour show. And I'm thrilled to announce that as of today, we're at 106 stations that take the full 1 hour show. There's also a 1 minute interstitial or little tech update that runs nationally on a few hundred radio stations. And you may also be listening to this as a podcast on your favorite podcast platform. So thank you for joining us on demand instead of your local radio station. Either way, thrilled to have you along. This show is powered by Asus, the company that creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. And that includes its line of award-winning laptops. There's 4 different kinds of laptops within the Asus family, or 5 if you want to count their ROG or Republic of Gamers line of computers. But there's the VivoBooks, which are sort of all-around, everyday, stylish computers. There's the ZenBooks, cutting-edge technology, lots of innovation, and many industry firsts. There's Chromebooks, which are great for students. They're more value priced, but they still have a lot of features. Expert books for more of a business user, executive traveler, and things like that. And then finally, as I mentioned, ROG or Republic of Gamers. So a huge family of, that's just their laptops. Asus makes many other kinds of products and accessories as well. But you can go to asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. One of my favorite tech companies when I started as a tech journalist back in the 90s was Creative Labs, really ahead of their time in all kinds of music and gaming gear. And the company, now simply known as Creative, is still producing high-quality computer accessories for all kinds of consumers. Joining us on the line to chat is Susie Hain, Head of Public Relations for Creative. Good to chat with you, Susie. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Glad that you're well. With the pandemic and the fires in your state, I really appreciate you carving out some time to chat with us today.
Absolutely.
All right. So why don't you talk to us, please, a bit about Creative? I am right. It used to be Creative Labs back in the day, right?
So Creative Labs is the U.S. subsidiary to Creative Technology, which is our parent company, and our headquarters, which is based in Singapore. So right. That company has always existed, and Creative Labs is the wholly owned U.S. office. So all of the products, the innovation, the R&D are all done out of Creative Technology in that Singapore headquarters, with just Creative Labs being that representative company within the U.S.
And I remember that Creative Labs launched one of the first MP3 players, and that was ahead of the iPod.
We did. Yeah. Creative had the Nomad Jukebox in the year 2000, which was over a year before the first iPod came out. You had mentioned Creative has kind of always been a little bit ahead of its time in terms of product innovation. So yeah, they had one of the first MP3 players to begin with, and then also one of the first video players, which was the Zen Vision W. And then Creative also had one of the first tiny portable players in the Zen Stone.
Okay, yeah, I remember the Zen Stone. It looked like a little black, smooth stone. I remember that was a cute little flash-based MP3 player, and then you had your hard drive-based one. So I remember all of this because I was somewhat new to reviewing tech. I've been reviewing video games since '94, but I got into electronics and gadgets and so on in the late '90s. So I remember Creative being really ahead of the curve. So let's now talk about some of your new products, 2020. Let's start off with webcams, as we're all using Zoom or other video chatting platforms today. So why don't we start there?
Yeah, we sure are all using Zoom for distance learning or work from home. It seems like sometimes there's even multiple going on. I have 2 Zoom classes going on for my kids right now. So as we're doing this. So in July, Creative launched the new LiveCam Sync 1080p webcam. This is a bit of a budget webcam at just $49.99, but it has a wide angle HD lens, dual built-in mic, so it delivers really excellent audio quality. But what kind of sets this camera apart, in my view, are the little attention to details. It has a fitted lens cap for added privacy, so you don't have to put that tape over it anymore or wonder, did I turn it off? And then also a universal tripod mount, so it's really helpful for finding the best angle no matter what monitor you're using it on. So it's a good performing camera.
Yeah, at a great price, as you mentioned. I know some webcams can be well over $100 or $200 for some of the higher end ones, and you're still getting 1080p or full HD video quality. So what are you giving up then? It sounds like it has everything you want, a lens cover, and it has an integrated microphone, I'm sure.
It does, yeah. I don't think you're giving up anything, to be totally honest. I think that's why we've had a hard time keeping these in stock, is they've kind of paid attention to all of the things that are important in a webcam, and then that's why they've priced it competitively, because they know that this is a need for literally everyone these days. So I would honestly say there's not a lot of sacrifice with this particular product.
And what's the name of it again, if our listeners can find it, in fact, online or at retail?
The LiveCam Sync 1080p.
Okay, Sync like SYNC.
Yeah,
1080p.
right.
Okay, $49.99 from Creative. Now let's talk audio, like speakers and headphones. I know gamers also like to use headsets so they can chat with their friends while they're playing games at the same time. What's new from Creative? And also, please tell us about the Super X-Fi. What is that technology?
Yes, audio, the bread and butter of Creative. So there's a lot new from Creative on this front. So touching quickly on two new desktop speaker systems that we have, also something that kind of is important as everybody has a work from home type situation right now. We have the Creative T100, which is a plug-and-play 2.0 system that also features Bluetooth 5.0 for wireless connectivity. You can connect it via USB, optical, aux, or that Bluetooth I mentioned. So there's a range of options there depending on your setup needs. We also have the Pebble V3 that's launching at the end of this month. That's a budget desktop USB-C speaker system. It also has Bluetooth 5.0, but what's really great about the Pebble line of speakers, so this is our fourth product in that line, but they have a 45-degree elevated driver design. So it's specifically angled to offer a better listening experience. And because of this unique design, this is one of the reasons why we're able to offer such great performance at a very low price. So it's this very unique design for that. This product line has also been a top seller for Creative. They really punch above their weight in terms of performance. At just $39.99, I honestly can say you won't find a better USB speaker system for the price range.
So just to clarify, Susie, these don't have a subwoofer for that low-end bass that you would keep maybe under your desk. It's all built into I guess they're somewhat spherical speakers that plug into your computer. Is that right?
Yeah, they are spherical. This one does not have a sub. If you want a little bit more punch with that subwoofer, there is a Pebble Plus model. That one's a little bit more expensive. I think that one's $49.99, but this Pebble V3 does not have the subwoofer, no.
Okay. And when we return on Tech It Out, we're going to continue chatting with Creative and Susie, and I'm going to ask her about X-Fi and what that's all about. So stick with us. We'll be right back. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. A lot more of the show coming right up.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We're chatting with Susie Hain. She's the head of PR or public relations for Creative. And what is Super X-Fi?
Super X-Fi is Creative's latest audio innovation. So if we think back to the 80s when Creative, kind of invented Sound Blaster and revolutionized PC audio, Super X-Fi is their newest audio revolution, which really applies to headphones and speakers, where you're also seeing it in the Sound Blaster line of cards now because of all of its capabilities. So the best way to describe Super X-Fi is that it creates a natural listening experience based on the unique shape of everyone's own ears and head. So we all hear audio differently based on the shape of our ears, the shape of our head. So we're all hearing things differently. And what Super X-Fi does is customizes a listening profile based on your unique kind of qualities. And it's done by taking pictures of your ears. You do it through the Super X-Fi mobile app. You take the pictures of your ears. The algorithm then kind of creates a unique profile based on what all of the data that we have about what the best listening experience is for you based on maybe your particular ear shape of the canals and things like that. And so then what it does is it creates a customized profile for you that then applies to any Super X-Fi headphone product. And we also have a list of other manufacturer headphones that are supported with Super X-Fi. So we will test those to say this will improve the audio quality on another brand of headset. But obviously works extremely well with any Creative Super X-Fi product. That's naturally where all of the innovation has gone. But so if you think about if you're in a room with a multi-channel speaker system and that sort of surround sound experience that you're getting, Creative has taken that and put it into headphones, really creating that sort of natural audio experience that is something that's been a limitation of headphones since forever. So it's really another one. I would say it's ahead of its time, and just the how unique it is. One point about that is the last 2 years at CES, the various line of creative Super X5 products have been awarded over 23 different Best of CES awards. It just kind of speaks to how this is elevating the audio experience that we're all used to with headphones. I think to some degree that maybe we've all kind of just decide or accepted as the best we're going to get, and creative has taken that and said, no, we can do better. And there'll be coming sound bars and some other products coming with Super X5 that take it out of headphones and kind of give it that whole room experience as well. So
all right, Super X-Fi is spelled so SUPER, and then it's X-FI if you're looking for that online or on the boxes at big box stores. I wanted to ask you, so are these over-ear headphones or are they in-ear? Because there's obviously different styles and models out there. Some are wireless, some are wired. Can you maybe, since this is radio, give us an idea of what they look like?
So there's multiple products in this line. We have a new in-ear called the Super X5 Trio. It's a triple driver in-ear earphone that's actually a USB-C connectivity. That has the Super X5 amp kind of in line with the cable. That gives you all of the Super X5 from technology from an in-ear earphone. We have over-the-ear headphones like the Super X5 Theater, which is a wireless model. That one's really designed right now for PC and Mac, but it's really good for gaming on a wireless front. And then our newest headset is the Super X5 Gamer, which is a wired gaming headset, but leveraging the Super X5 technology, it's really well optimized for first-person shooter games because of its ability to deliver extreme audio precision. So we have a new feature in the Super X5 Gamer headset called Battle Mode. It offers hands down the best audio projection and directionality on headphones. So if you're into those first-person shooter games, the Counter-Strikes, the Call of Duties, this is going to give you a level of clarity and depth where you'll hear even the slightest acoustic detail, like every footstep.
Yes, I did want to end off on gaming, actually, because I know that's certainly a category that Creative has doubled down on a long time ago, and still today. So you've talked about the audio for gamers, and that includes the Super X5. There are other products as well, correct?
Yeah, we still have a very extensive line of internal and external sound cards. So our latest internal sound card is the Sound Blaster AE9. And then we have a whole line of external sound cards, the Sound Blaster X3, the Sound Blaster G3. Those are USB connectivity, and some of them have gaming console support as well. So like our Sound Blaster G3 works with a PS4 or a Nintendo Switch. So that's kind of bringing that Sound Blaster experience to the console, which is something that we never were able to do before. So we have a whole line of things now that are not just focused toward PC gamers, but that really open it up to whatever platform you want to play on. And the pricing on those external cards is really competitive. The Sound Blaster G3 is just $59.99. So, and it's super portable. So you could take it and play with it at friends or whatever. It's not the old days of cracking open your PC and installing a card and making sure you have a PCI slot, and those days are gone if you don't want to do that.
Oh, I certainly remember doing that. So yeah, I'm dating myself here. So why don't we wrap up then, Susie, on where we can learn more about Creative. If there's a website that sort of shows and maybe even demonstrates with some videos all the products we've chatted about today, and what particular retailers you would recommend in order to pick up some of this Creative gear.
Yeah, so creative.com is the best place for all of it.
Okay. Susie Hain, head of PR for Creative. A pleasure chatting with you. Stay safe out there. Be well and have a great fall.
Thanks, Mark. You too. Always a pleasure.
I got to say, I loved my Creative Labs MP3 player back in the day. I was blown away that you can fit a couple of hundred songs and then a couple of thousand songs in your pocket. If you remember, before the iPod, that was pretty big. I was a big music fan turned techie, so that was really cool. So that was Creative's Susie Hain. When we return on the program, we're going to learn about Avidbots. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Check It Out whenever you want.
Since the start of the pandemic, there's been a huge increase in cleaning technology to help keep public environments safe for people, keeping surfaces clean from viruses and such. And that includes schools that have reopened for some form of in-class attendance. Technology can help here, as we're going to hear now from Avidbots. Joining us on the line to chat is Faizan Sheikh. He is the CEO and co-founder of Avidbots. Welcome to the show, Faizan.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Why don't we start off with a bit about the company, Avidbots?
So Avidbots was started over 6 years ago. We are bringing robots to everyday life to expand human potential. And for the last 6 years, we have been working on the commercial cleaning problem. Last year, we cleaned over 1 billion square feet autonomously. You can think of our robot as a large Zamboni-style machine, and it is basically great for cleaning warehouses, airports, subway systems, hospitals, malls.
So I spoke last year at the sustainability conference and Avidbots was there. I think you were an exhibitor and it does look like
Yes.
Zamboni. I think that's fair. So that's good to give us a visual. So this is going and it's cleaning the floors by itself. You were already selling these, as you said, long before COVID, but no doubt it's even more relevant today to keep these public spaces clean. Have you seen an uptick in the sales of these or leases of your Avidbots?
Yeah, we absolutely have. Demand is roughly up over 100% from pre-pandemic levels. You might have heard that a lot of companies now are hiring cleaning staff, and there's a lot of cleaning that needs to be done because, quite frankly, not a lot of people were thinking about how the cleaning was being done and was it being done appropriately with the right quality and the right frequency. So now that we're adjusting it to the correct levels, businesses are buying our robots to supplement their staff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because obviously some concerns will be that these robots are taking away human jobs. But you're saying this supplements or augments your existing cleaning staff where they can maybe handle tasks that require a little bit more dexterity, like, a little bit more hands-on, like on top of desks or cabinets or harder to reach areas. Is that fair?
That's correct. Yeah, like microwaves, the lunchrooms, the handrails, the doorknobs. There's a lot of frequently touched surfaces that require way more attention, and our robots are taking care of large, expansive floor surfaces that take an entire night to clean. And that's an entire night freed up to take care of things that people will be touching.
Mm-hmm. And it could be argued that the Avidbots also help protect your cleaning staff.
Yeah, so that's the other realization. Cleaning staff, are frontline workers. The work they do is actually dangerous, right? There's a lot of government leaders right now who are thanking cleaning staff in the same sentence as they're thanking healthcare workers.
Right.
So anything we can be doing to protect these people doing the job and the risk they're taking on. So if anything we can do to reduce their risk is, I think, a great thing.
Okay. And you mentioned some of the locations that you're in. So I think places like airports, malls, like large flat surfaces. But what about schools, as I touched on in the introduction? Could Avidbots be deployed in a high school or university, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. We are right now cleaning a lot of high schools and universities. Some names I can share with you are Rochester Institute of Technology in New York. A school district in New Jersey became a customer and they started rolling out Neos. So we're definitely seeing an uptick in demand from K-12 as well as higher education as they try and clean with the right frequency and quality for a safe school reopening.
Okay, fair enough. We're chatting with Faizan Sheikh. He is the co-founder and CEO at Avidbots Corp. That's Avidbots Corp. These are automated cleaning robots. So I don't know if you want to call it a Roomba on steroids. I know that's another brand altogether, but a lot of our listeners probably have a robotic cleaner in their home. So without getting too technical, with that in mind, Faizan, how does it work exactly? Is there a camera inside so it knows not to hit an obstacle, or does it feel its way around it? Are there sensors?
Yeah. So it definitely has some cameras on it. It actually has a 360 view around itself, and it also makes use of LiDAR. So that's laser.
Yeah, what some self-driving cars have.
That's right. And so then all of that sensory information from LiDARs and cameras is piped into our proprietary artificial intelligence platform that makes the machine drive safely and autonomously.
All right. So instead of like a Roomba, which might, bump into a table leg and then navigate around it or something like that, that is not the case with Avidbots, which are like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, they're 1,000-pound machines, and yes, they do not feel their way around.
Okay.
They don't bump into anything.
Got it. All right, Faizan, this is really fascinating stuff, and no doubt you're going to be busy in the months and years to come. If our listeners wanted to learn more about Avidbots, maybe they work for a company that could leverage your services, is there a website you'd recommend?
Sure. You can go to our corporate site, www.avidbots.com.
Okay, again, that's avidbots.com. We've been chatting with Faizan Sheikh. He is the CEO and co-founder at Avidbots. Thank you again for your time, Faizan. All the best.
Thank you, Mark.
And thank you for tuning into Tech It Out, powered by ASUS. Have a healthy and safe week ahead, and I look forward to catching up with you next time on Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.